Okay, it's 3:02. I think we'll have a few more joining us, but let's get started. Our agenda today, Sarah Reeske, who's on the screen from New York State Indivisible, talking about this election year and how we as an organization and individuals can contribute to what's really consistent with the primary goals of this organization. When we started out in 2017, right in the opening documents, it said, "We exist to fight the Trump-Pence-Ryan agenda." Well, we still do. So we traditionally open a meeting with a chance for announcements from anybody on the call. And then I have a special topic regarding the Citizen Review Board that we need to talk about for a few minutes. And we have a guest to address that a little bit. Um, does anybody have other announcements that we want to start with? Brent, you got your hand up?
Yes, it's sort of an announcement. I thought maybe we might want to dedicate this meeting to Ken Bobus, who was an architecture professor at OCC for many, many years, and who did a lot of work on sustainable building and green building and things like that. And I think some people here may have worked with him more directly. I didn't work with him directly, but I knew he consulted with a lot of other folks working on those issues, and thousands and thousands of students went through his classes, and I believe he inspired them. I hope so. He seemed like a very inspiring individual, the little that I knew him. So that's my suggestion for those of us who have any thoughts or memories of him to let those memories and thoughts help guide us in our continuing efforts. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Brent. Yes, Kenny was a leader in the local community in terms of sustainable, environmentally sound architecture and energy. I worked with him, I think, 40 years ago on building a large solar collector project on the food co-op. Um, and yeah, I spoke to one of his former students at the calling hours the other day who said Kenny really inspired him. Item number one, uh, Citizen Review Board. This just came up yesterday. I got an email from Victoria Coit, who is our current contact on the New York Civil Liberties Union. Most of you know we've been working with NYCLU for years. Lanessa Chaplin has been their lead person on the Interstate 81 Community Grid Project, and we've been collaborating with them closely for a number of years. But back before that, we were also involved with NYCLU. Yusuf Abdul Qadir was their staff person at that point and very involved in the police reform movement. This goes back to well before the George Floyd marches when NYCLU was first pushing the city to reform the police department and to give the Citizen Review Board the power that they were given in their statute. I spent about 4 years as a member of the CRB and was the chair for most of that time. So I got to work very closely with Renette Relaford, who is on the call today. What's happening right now is that the Common Council, which created the Citizen Review Board in the first place, is looking to put legislation in that will give the council more control over the Citizen Review Board. And there's a couple of resources I want to put on my screen here because I'm going to ask people to take actions today and or tomorrow to demand that the council have a public hearing about this, because right now they have no hearing scheduled. It's simply that they have this piece of legislation on their docket for tomorrow. There is a excellent article, a letter that came out this morning from Barry Gawanter, who is also a former NYCLU office director. I would encourage you to read it. It's here on our website. If you go to the opening page of the website and then just scroll down a little bit to actions, this is probably a 3-page letter. so I'm not going to go through it right now. But basically, the council is proposing to make changes where that would reduce the independence of the Citizen Review Board. The board is a body of citizens appointed by the mayor and the common council, and the board of independent citizens has a right to hire and fire its coordinator and its staff, and to be responsible for the operations. What the proposed changes say is that the council would take those powers away from the board and take them into their own hands. There's also an article in the paper this morning that reports on that, and it does a not a bad job of bringing up a lot of the issues that are involved. I'm going to turn over to Renette in just a minute, who is here, to briefly mention some of those other issues. There have been the CRB has been underfunded, inadequately staffed, and unsupported in a lot of ways by city administration. I had some arguments about city officials about that when I was the board chair. And there's been a whole history of non-support for the CRB, as well as resistance from the police department. About 4 years ago, there was a law change proposed by a member of the Common Council who was a former police chief. And basically, the change in the law that he proposed, I'm almost quoting it, but it said, nothing the CRB does is required. All CRB decisions are advisory, and nobody has to pay any attention to them. And I'm only exaggerating a little bit. That was basically the language they wanted to put in the law. We showed up at the hearing when that proposal came up. CNY Solidarity, National Action Network, New York Civil Liberties Union, Black Lives Matter, Urban Jobs Task Force, Syracuse Peace Council. The council chambers were packed, standing room only, and the council, I don't know what they would have done if people hadn't showed up, but they were shamed into withdrawing that law. So tomorrow at 12 o'clock, there's a study session, and at 1 o'clock, there is a council meeting. I may be late. I have another appointment, but I'll be there. And we're encouraging everyone to do two things. Call your common counselor, email them, and if you don't live in a city, that's okay. You are affected by the Syracuse police because you come into the city, and that's important. So please take those actions. Read the newspaper article, which is linked here, so you can see all of this right on our website. And I promised Renette 2 minutes that I would stop talking and she could take over and add some detail to what I've just said. Renette, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm saddened that I'm coming to you at this point in time. I have been on your email list for quite some time and have, been involved with Peter, and I've seen many of you in the community doing the work. But here we are yet again. I've been on this mission since 2017. It's a mission that I hold very dear because I am a native of Syracuse, born and raised on the south side of Syracuse, and it has been one of the proudest moments that I had when I was able to become part of this mission. I found it to be a great way to give back to my community in a different way than in previous years. But here we are, and the main concern I have is that this is not an adequate portrayal of what has occurred over these years as it relates to it. I would be remiss if I didn't mention in 2021, I went out on maternity leave and didn't return until February. One of the years in which they're talking about is 2021, and I was out the end of 2021 and came back. While out, we had no staff doing the work. We had the board chair coming into the office, and when I came back in February, I came back to 12 weeks of no work being done. Peter has stated, about staffing. I was not able to hire staff until July of that year. Coming back, after that point in time, and then have been trying to rebuild ever since. Um, there's always been a constant backlog. One, because the administrator is the primary investigator of all complaints. And the administrator has been asking and proposing, as well as Peter, when he was on the board, to hire a full-time investigator other than the administrator so that we could clear up this backlog. When Chief Buckner was here, he revamped the Office of Professional Standards, which is RIA, to now be 3 sergeants and 1 lieutenant. So now they are investigating more cases. They're not investigating them faster. There's an 18-month time period for which they have to investigate a complaint and make a decision for an officer to be disciplined. They're taking up 6 months or more investigating cases. And they still have 3 people in the office, but I'm expected to turn it around right after that. The CRB has, our max number of cases we've received ever is 118. Right now, we're hovering around 85 or 100 cases a year. Or, and it's a lot for one person to take care of, along with all of the other stuff. So this is just really not an adequate depiction of what's going on. And had we been able to have a public meeting that I've requested for many times to discuss the day-to-day operations between the two, a gathering of the minds. When Peter was on there, we were meeting with the chief, we were meeting with corporation counsel, we were inviting common counselors to come and go to these meetings so you could understand what was going on. The hearing process, what it takes to do the hearing process, about the counsel for the police department, all of these things that are mentioned in this article, we have been trying to get them to understand the process for years. And this is just not the way to handle it, because it's taking the power away from the people. The administrator position is the only position for which the board has the ability to hire and fire. The board is the person that the administrator reports to day, who sends emails and who calls the board about what's going on. A common counselor or a city clerk is not going to understand the nuances of oversight, is not going to understand the nuances of all the issues that it takes to do the work. And so I ask you and I urge you to please contact your common counselor, show up on Monday. I'll have signs available and things of that nature. They just say vote no. It says no change without public meeting. These are all things that could be addressed in a public meeting, but it is not being done that way. And this is not just a structural change. This is not an administrative change. This is taking the power away from the people. And I wonder, if you do this, this can truly not be the Citizens Review Board anymore. It is the Council Review Board. And so I just ask that you come and stand in solidarity with us and fight again for what we know is right for the citizens of the community and just the public that comes into contact with the Syracuse Police Department. I would be remiss, I've sent my condolences as it relates to the officer involved shooting and the deaths as it relates to them. I am not anti-police, never have been. The Citizens Review Board is just a avenue of checks and balances. Just like every level of government has checks and balances, the Syracuse Citizens Review Board is just the checks and balances of the Syracuse Police Department. That's all we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Renette. I just want to add one thing. In the article in this morning's paper, to which there's a link on our website, Pam Hunter was interviewed. Pam is now a state assembly member. In 2011, Pam led a Common Council subcommittee to review and make changes to the CRB, which had been in existence since 1993. They made some significant changes to improve procedures. Pam's quoted in this morning newspaper saying, this change should not pass, at least not without a public hearing. So that's someone we should be paying close attention to. We need to move on to the rest of our agenda. I would encourage people call their counselors, Again, even if you don't live in the city, you can send an email to the Common Council and show up tomorrow at noon in the council chambers on the third floor of City Hall if you possibly can. Any further discussion? I suggest send something to discussion list. You can go to our website, you can use the contact form, and we'll get back to you. If you want it to be added to that list, just let us know through the contact form on the website. And thanks for your patience, everybody. And Sarah. So our featured speaker for today, Sarah Reeske from New York Indivisible, and I'm going to stop talking and leave it to Sarah.
Thanks, Peter. Well, thank you so much for having me at your CNY Solidarity meeting. I am super excited to be here. It's my very first one. Who am I? My name is Sarah Reeske. I'm the Indivisible Organizing Manager for New York. I have my dream job. I get to work with Indivisibles across New York State. I get to help them make political activism bite-sized, local, and fun. I get to help them at the group level, at their, their local, their state, their federal goals, as well as help them in national movement moments. So we have been busy for the last 7 years that Indivisible has been around. I live near Utica and Oneida County, so I'm about an hour away. I have 2 kids, Merrick and Holly. I love going canvassing with them. They love helping at big events in little bite-sized, kid-friendly ways. I have a fun fact. I have a very amazing German foreign exchange student living with me. His name is Tim. He's 22. He's a carpenter. He leaves to go back to Germany in July, and we're super sad, but we have had just the best experience. We're Buffalo Bills fans, so go Bills. I absolutely love giving Republicans nightmares. I hope that's something that you and I have in common. And I am also a group leader of Indivisible Mohawk Valley, which I have to update the spelling on that. Okay. Next. Okay, so I want to hear from you. Why are you a member of CNY Solidarity? I guess if you want to come off mute real quick or put something in the chat box. But I want to know, why is this your political activism family? Why are you a member of this group?
This is Dick.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start. I joined it in 2017, probably January or February. What I found with CNY Solidarity is the breadth of its concerns for the community of the Central New York community, and it wasn't just a single issue organization. We have established working relationships with several community groups that deal with disadvantaged communities in Central New York. So it's a one-stop shop, in a sense, for progressive issues and movements in Central New York. And because it's an incredible vehicle for communicating to the whole community what's going on. The newsletter is an absolutely amazing resource in this community, and it's recognized. And I just think we're a great organization.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else?
I'll go.
Okay, Judy.
I'm a member because there is so much work to be done. And Sarah's a good friend. And we started Indivisible Mohawk Valley back when who was elected, and we were all down in the dumps and ready for action. And when I moved back to Syracuse 2 years ago, I had to join someplace where I could put my energies and put my action and do what needed to be done. And CNY Solidarity is where I ended up roosting.
I love that, Judy. Thanks. Anybody else want to share? Maybe one more person.
Okay, I'll go. So yeah, I joined CNY Solidarity right after 2016 and Trump got elected, and I found an amazing community, like-minded people, and it gave me some place to put my energy in and not be so scared. That to know that people were out there just as worried as I was, and then they gave me the tools I needed to learn more about my government, hold our elected officials accountable. I actually ran for office and was a town councilor, and I did that because of my involvement in this group, and I will be continuing to do that as a non-elected official as well. So.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So a common theme is being around people who are like-minded, who share who share your values and want to create a culture of taking action, not just sitting on the couch screaming at the screen. So it sounds like you guys are in really good company, and I'm really glad to be here with you. Okay, here's another question. I want you to put your ideas in the chat box, but why does Brendan Williams need to lose in November? I hope everybody has their own reason why, and it'd be great if you would share it with us.
He needs to go back to Texas.
There you go. Yeah. He can go back to Texas, that's right. Or California, wherever he lived before here. Okay, Jane says much of what he supports does not reflect my values. Okay, Chris says he doesn't represent us. He needs to lose because he doesn't support the needs of CNY. He wants to take away a woman's right to her own bodies. He does not represent me or my goals. Okay, very good, Anne. He's dangerous for the environment, people of color, for working families, and for the planet. He's narrow-minded and backwards. Whew, ain't that the truth? He's on the wrong side of virtually every issue. That's important. Always very divisive. Yes. Oh, yes. We don't need submarines in Central New York. Yeah, we don't need one on the lakes. Oh, yes, irreversible damage to climate progress. Absolutely. Yeah, Turner 100% turn on stuff. We could be here all day talking about why Brendan Williams needs to lose. So thank you so much for putting that in here. And I want to say congrats. This should be the topic of your next letter to the editor. You just need one little reason why, one little thesis, one little sentence to really spur you on to write a letter to the editor, to let everybody in your community and in NY22 know how you feel. We need a lot of people to be speaking up and raising their voices in a lot of different ways. And so a letter to the editor is a great way. And I love this slide because you guys rocked it. The Syracuse Post-Standard, like a week ago, thank you, Judy, for flagging this for me, had this wonderful spread, everybody. Look at this beautiful title. Who's best to represent NY22 Congressional District? They could have had, other titles, but this just casts doubts that Brendan Williams is the best person, and that is a huge win for us. But we have 6 letters to the editor here that are all tearing him apart using wonderful language, just speaking from the heart. It's a huge LTE victory, and 5 out of the 6 LTEs were written by Indivisible. So I am just like absolutely in love, and I really want to encourage you to write a letter to the editor, because we can have really great momentum moving moments like this by using the media to our advantage. If you are interested in needing if you want some help to write an LTE on a specific topic, I've got you covered. I'm hosting some New York LTE workshops. We have one on immigration on April 30th at 7 p.m. And I'm really excited about this one because we have a man named Asher Ross, who is with the New York Immigration Coalition, coming on to talk about why immigration is relevant this election cycle. What are all the ways that shows up? So yes, you can talk about migrant farm workers, you can talk about asylum seekers, you can talk about what's needed maybe at the state ledge budget in terms of like immigration, all the different ways it shows up, and then what to say and what not to say. And that's sometimes one of the biggest hurdles with getting started on a letter to the editor. It's like, I don't exactly know like what words to lean into or what words to avoid. And this workshop is supposed to help you with that. So we hear 30 minutes from a guest expert, and then we do 30 minutes into a study hall. So in case it's your very first one, we'll teach you some good tips and tricks, many of which Judy Jerome has taught me. We have some others coming up, the New York ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, and also the Inflation Reduction Act. So if you're kind of hungry for how do I write about something good that the Democrats have done, you want to go to that one, the Inflation Reduction Act on May 21st. And I've got a lot of other upcoming topics. I'm talking with potential guest experts on a lot of these: gun violence prevention, LGBTQ rights, so that people could write letters supporting LGBTQ rights during Pride Month. Healthcare is going to happen in July. Biden's accomplishments. What are our democratic values? So that way we can connect with people on those. And then also I've gotten approval to do Dem congressional candidates. So my first one's going to be Josh Riley. He'll be on for NY19. This is to help NY19 voters get to see him, talk with him. He's not going to campaign. He's just going to be a guy running for office. And people are going to be able to like hear stories and really connect so that they can write an LTE about, he's such a great guy. I didn't know we had this in common. His grandkids, my grandkids are the same age as his. I really feel like he's going to vote in all of our best interests. That makes me really excited. Count me in as a yes, Josh, right? Like those LTEs going out across the district for him, it's going to be really, really great to defeat Mark Molinaro. So there's so much potential with LTEs. I'm really excited. And after we our
And
primary.
these will all be in the newsletter with registration links.
Perfect. Thank you, Peter. And after we have our NY22 primary, I will do one with whoever the winner is as well. So people can start doing more LTEs about them as well. Okay, do you need some help? You are not alone. There's lots of people out there who want to start doing an LTE. So come to a workshop, talk to good friends like your friend Judy Jerome here. But also we have some other three other people who would really love to help you get connected. That's Rhonda Fibiger in Madison County and Regina and Dick in Oneida County. We have little LTE groups that have come out of some Indivisible groups, and we'd love to see more people from Onondaga County really take up the mantle and just continue to submit LTEs so that way we can get more of our narrative in the newspaper. Now, some people will say, well, not everybody reads the newspaper. And yes, this is true. However, a lot of newspapers have a digital online subscription or copy that you can read, and those live on the internet forever. So ultimately, if you're talking about how Brennan Williams is terrible about the climate, if you type in Brennan Williams climate, like that LTE might show up, right? And so use the power of the internet to also help you. But I want you to think about, and I ask is, can you help jumpstart an LTE blitz in Onondaga County so that we can get this district covered and just get surround sound so that there is no place where Brennan Williams can hide, so that we don't let his lies sink in and infiltrate people's brains. So that's the first thing, is about LTEs. Now I want to talk about how Onondaga County can help flip NY22 in November. I hope you are all on board for this, because we deserve to have somebody who really represents us, somebody who we can work with as a partner towards a shared vision that all of us have, right? Where our values are our lived experiences and not just pipe dreams. So let's talk first about some political math. I don't know where everybody is on savviness with campaign elections, but essentially the goal of winning an election, what you got to do is math. We have to get more of our voters out to the polls than the opposition gets theirs. Yes, ideally we want everybody to vote, but it's not our job to get the opposition's voters to vote. It's our job to get our voters to vote. And our voter universe is our base plus persuadables. In order to get to 50% plus one, you don't need a super majority. If it's 1,001, you got to get 1,001. But if you get 1,000, you lose. And Onondaga County has the vast majority of our coalition voters. Okay, so that's why everybody talks a lot about how important Onondaga County is. And so your job for this year is you got to spank the pants off of Brandon Williams in Onondaga County. The saying goes that the district will be won in Onondaga County, but will be lost in the other counties. And so I'm actually meeting with Indivisible Cortland County and Indivisible Cayuga near Auburn on Tuesday to talk to them about how they want to help rev up and take care of their portions of the district to help get rid of Brennan Williams. And of course, Indivisible Mohawk Valley is taking care of Oneida County, and we've got Kaz Call to Action and some other friends in Madison County. So we are all moving in the, rowing our boats in the same direction. We're going to be really unstoppable. And so I'm very excited to be here with you today so that we can keep this momentum going and I can be of service to you guys. Okay, so we also have campaigns, right? We don't know who our Democratic nominee is going to be. That's okay. But campaigns will focus the majority of their resources on persuadables. These are people that are living their lives. They don't always get to pay attention to politics. And of course, that's intentional because big corporations want people working really hard so they don't have to see what they're doing with all the money that they're raking in and paying off politicians. But those persuadables tend to be unaffiliated voters. They tend to also have some Republicans. We don't live in a solid blue district. We actually need some Republicans in our big winning coalition. These are people that actually like healthcare, right? They're turned off by the MAGA, the Trumpism. They just don't like it. These are some people like in my area who really did not like Claudia Tenney, and they voted for Anthony Brindisi in 2018 and 2020. But we are not necessarily the people, everybody here who's a voter, we will never miss another election whatsoever in our lives. You can count on us. We actually make the best kind of volunteers, and you're not, you're very familiar with all of this. You've seen a lot of your CNY Solidarity friends volunteer with campaigns in the past, and you can actually meet some really great people by volunteering on campaigns. I know some of them have changed my life, whether that's staff or just other canvassers that I've met. And so they don't get to focus on Democrats nearly as much. I know when I go canvass for congressional candidates, I'm normally talking to Republicans or unaffiliated voters. But what about our base, right? We know that there's more of us than there are our opposition. But who's going to be focusing on those people? Because we know that if we get our like-minded folks out to vote, like, we will win. So how about those low to medium turnout Democrats? Again, not us, but the people that are with us, but are just been a little too busy and they don't always vote. Okay, this is not saying first-time voters, but just low to medium turnout voters. Well, that's what we have with Indivisible. We're going to be focusing on with our neighbor to neighbor program. Okay, so we have this big campaign called Majority Over MAGA. This is our big North Star because we want to get back to a House majority and a Democratic trifecta and kick MAGA to the dust heap of history, as Ezra Levin, our co-executive director and founder of Indivisible, one of the original writers of the Indivisible Guide, likes to say. But neighbor to neighbor, you might also see it written as end to end, is the most impactful and easiest way to make a difference this election, by talking to your own neighbors, no matter where you live. In New York, everybody gets to use neighbor to neighbor to talk about the New York ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. So that's going to be awesome. Us being in a battleground district, we're also going to be able to, I think, talk about candidates. So after the primary, we'll be able to do that. But I'd love to just kind of help familiarize yourself with this, because guess what? There's an ask for you to sign up and be ready to knock on doors, 10 of your nearest low to medium propensity Democrats in your neighborhood at the very end of this. Okay, so what is neighbor to neighbor? It's an innovative relational door knocking tool. So it's canvassing. Why canvassing? Is because we know that two-way communications, where we can ask a question and we can get feedback, is the most effective way in order to secure a vote and motivate somebody to go and cast their ballot for your candidate. Indivisible created this, and it's really just kind of keeping things bite-sized, local, and fun. It's fueled by the VAN, the Voter Activation Network, which is the voter file. So Indivisible has picked out the pool of people and has plugged it into the system. And we'll go over it in just a little second of what it looks like to kind of sign up. But yeah, it's basically a way for you to figure out the 10 nearest doors so you can go have a two-way conversation with them. Okay, so here is a video, and let's go ahead and play it.
With so much at stake this election, getting out the vote has never been more important. That's why we're excited to announce Neighbor to Neighbor, a program designed to make talking to your neighbors about voting quick and easy. Here's how. Once you sign up, we'll send a list of 10 Democratic households near you, a short script, best practices, and an optional printout to leave if they aren't home. Then, just knock on those neighbors' doors and remind them to vote. It's simple, and we know it works. When academic researchers ran experiments of different voter contact strategies, door-to-door canvassing was the most effective method for increasing voter participation, generating one additional vote for every 16 contacts. Hearing from a trusted neighbor is up to twice as effective as hearing from a stranger. So let's do this. Make a difference this election. Talk to your neighbors. With so much at stake this election.
Little tech thing going on there. Okay, great. So I hope that was really helpful in just a 55-second video. But essentially, neighbor to neighbor is easy and it's impactful, right? And again, we would love to assume that every Democrat is so fired up and is so paying attention that there is just no way that they are ever going to miss either the June 25th primary or the November 5th election, but that's just not the case. People get busy and they do appreciate being connected with others, right? And being seen and being heard and being valued for their vote and, participating in democracy and stuff. So anybody can do this. You can, if you live in an apartment building, You can hopefully get addresses even within your own apartment building. Hopefully everything is within 0.4 miles. If you live kind of in more of a condensed area, if you're in a rural area, I think it goes up to like maybe a 6-mile radius. But there's no app. You don't have to use minivan. You don't really have to do much data entry. You don't have to decide whether someone's response was a 1 to a 5 on a scale or anything like you would with a campaign. And you know, well, first you'll get printed a script, but it really is super simple. Like, hi, my name is Sarah. I'm over at, number 19 at the intersection right over there. I'm your neighbor. I just wanted to come over and talk to you about the New York Equal Rights Amendment. Not many people know about it yet. Right? And then have a handout for them. So nothing revolutionary in like the concept, but it is revolutionary in terms of it's bite size. It is in your own neighborhood and you can do it on your own time, right? You want to knock on 3 doors while you're walking your dog today and go do 4 more tomorrow. You totally can. Okay. So we wanted to tap into neighbors because some people know each other, some people don't. It always feels good. It's kind of one of those, I think it's pretty American to want to know your neighbors. And people want to live in an area where they can maybe feel connected. And of course, everybody's kind of looking out for each other type of place, right? And so if we can have lots of people doing neighbor to neighbor, and anybody can do this, right? CNY Solidarity, Indivisible groups, DEM committees, other organizations that want to use this tool, they can definitely sign up. It is not only specific to Indivisible. So, but just trust that you being able to say like, hi, my name is Sarah and I'm your neighbor is really impactful. Okay, so how does it work? There's an online sign up. It's a link. It goes to a landing page. We'll see a few pictures, screenshots of that momentarily. In the end, you're going to receive an email and a text message and then a link to a landing page. Then you're going to get your 10 addresses and their names. So it'll say like the Reeske household, 19 Proctor Avenue, for example, of those low to medium propensity Dem voters. And you just go talk to the neighbors. Just talk to your neighbors about it, and then give them, the flyer. If they're not there, you can come back again, or you can leave it there just like you would with regular canvassing. And then you just kind of like log back in and then just mark that you like spoke to them or that they weren't home. So let's look, kind of look and see what this looks like. So you get a link. It would go to a web page that looks like this. This is the sign up information, your name, your email, your phone number. This is so that you can get your lists, what your address is so that they know your nearest doors. And then are you interested in being part of an Indivisible group? So hopefully if we had people sign up and they said, I'm not, but I'm interested in joining one, and it was in the Syracuse area, we could help direct them to your group. I think that would be pretty awesome. You're going to get an email kind of like this. It has a sample script in right here. Yeah, nothing revolutionary there. Here's what your list would look like. This is just from like a test one. So you'd mark that you spoke to them or that they were not home. So again, super easy. It's not like using Van on a campaign, the printout where you're having to try to guess quite a bit or use your best judgment. It's pretty one way or the other. You have a handy sheet for tips to talking about your neighbor as a resource. And then this is kind of the one on the right is pretty much what the paper that you would print out, the PDF, would look like. So you can see it's not overstimulating with a lot of graphics. It's pretty universal. This is what was used in Ohio, I think around their November election with their abortion ballot measure and stuff. So you could sign a little note, just be like, hey, sorry, I missed you. Like, would love to connect more. I'm Judy at, 212, whatever, type of thing. So super easy. Okay. And like I said, all of New York is going to get be able to talk about the New York equal rights. So if you have a camp and you're an NY21, you put this in for people around your camp or into the town, right? If you're in Old Forge or, you're up at a place, maybe there aren't that many registered, voters in the camp, kind of area that you're at, but go into town and put it in and then go talk to them. Or maybe you're going into Rochester or something for a family reunion, like get your sister-in-law, we'll go to knock on doors, with her. You never know that. I really say just like, I want you to try it out, and I want you to ask somebody else to try it out, because you never know if they just might fall in love with this experience, and they could be that voter that then turns into an activist because of this. Okay, so the goal is to sign up for Neighbor to Neighbor. We're having people sign up between April 10th and the beginning of June. Beyond that, anybody can definitely sign up, but we're not getting our lists until early June. Think maybe June 7th. Okay, so we have lots of time. I think we have like 88 people in New York signed up, and I'd love to definitely get over 150 as like my first goal, because I want people to be really excited about trying something out. And doing something impactful, which is a lot of what you guys said when you said like, why am I with CNY Solidarity, is because you want to take impactful action. Okay, I have this great idea on how to make Neighbor to Neighbor more fun, especially with a group. So I would say ask your friends at Indivisible Onondaga County to organize an ice cream social debrief sometime after the launch. So let's say it launched on Friday, June 7th. Maybe a few days later, maybe a week later, say, hey, we're all going to meet up on Thursday at this, favorite ice cream shop at 6:30 p.m. and it's to share stories. If you've got your 10 doors done, like, come on down, and then the group can actually pay for it and get reimbursed by Indivisible, so you can basically get free ice cream while everybody's talking about how great the experience was, and yes, they would do it again. So that's a great way to like reward members for getting out of their comfort zone, trying something new, and of course not really have it cost your group anything. So that's my recommendation, and something I'd really like for you guys to try. And I'm really recommending for groups to try to find one Neighbor to Neighbor captain that's just somebody who tries this out, really loves it, and wants to help be a point person to get other people like on board and confident in using it too, and help answer questions, because I think a lot of Indivisible groups are going to be really excited about doing this. So that's Neighbor to Neighbor. Should I pause to take any questions? And Peter, could you help direct questions for me before we go on to the NY22 primary? So anything that I've talked about so far.
Dick has his hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not muted. Everybody can hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So just three probably simple questions. Have there studies been done, and applies to the Neighbor to Neighbor, any of these things, about the timing of doing these actions with respect to the election? No, if you get into these conversations too soon, do people lose the energy and the momentum and the enthusiasm? Is there any issue about timing in terms of effectiveness? That's the first one.
Okay.
The second one is, I assume that if I have 5 people on my street who all want to do this, we will not have duplicate lists, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the third question, I have not seen the ERA amendment. If I'm going to talk to people about something, I need to know what it is. So it would be great if you could link us to the language. I mean, specifically about the ERA, because I'm obviously don't need it for the election itself. Okay.
Sure. Okay, so on efficiency of timing, so Indivisible had some data sent over to some analytical organizations, and they said, yeah, Neighbor to Neighbor made a difference here. I don't know if that was in relation to the calendar. It was more like, probably like more people that you talked to, did that increase, turnout? I know with the NY03 special election that we had engaged Long Island, an Indivisible group there in NY03, just do Neighbor to Neighbor during early voting, those 10 days before the election. And their polling site, where most of their members were at, the JCC in Plainview, had 56% Democrats turnout compared to 24% Republicans. So that's really big. And that was the polling site in the whole congressional district that had the highest early vote turnout.
Right.
So
And they did Neighbor to Neighbor relatively
Neighbor
close
to
to the
Neighbor.
election.
Yes.
Relatively close to the election.
Yep. So they did that.
Kind
And
of
so
why I'm asking the question.
Yep. And so the best thing is because if everybody knew to go vote by hearing it once, we would not be in the situation that we're in now, right? And so the people that are low and medium propensity, whether they are unaffiliated or they're Democrats, they need to have multiple touches, right? They need to hear from us. They'll get a postcard, they'll get mail, they'll see TV, a radio ad. They need it all, right? And so, but when they know that you're over at number 57 or your house number and they drive by your house, like they're going to remember your conversation. So it's almost like an invisible touch that keeps on, you know, has a big return on investment. So the other thing is we can see, I can ask if Indivisible plans on having any more kind of studies done related to timing, but I know we'll try to get through a big universe over the summer, and then around September, those doors will be reset to go have more of a GOTV conversation and stuff, but it's going to be great. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And then what was your third question again?
Yeah, about the ERA getting a copy.
Okay. Yep. So we've had a workshop with Indivisibles and the New York ERA. We're having an ERA. So I could send you a recording of that. They will have some more workshops as well. So I would recommend coming to those, or the LTE that we have on a workshop on the New York ERA. They are what else? There'll be teach-ins like in communities. There will be official language after August. So I have like some sample language, but what's actually going to be on the ballot will not be finalized until August. But I believe it will be subject to the new plain language law. So it will not be read like legalese. It'll be easy to understand.
I have a couple of quick comments.
Sure.
First one is, when I've done door knocking for Dana Balter or Rachel May, it is just so much fun that I hate going to knock on people's doors anonymously. However, you get a list of people who have voted for the Democratic Party in the past, and you're knocking on their doors. So many of them are so happy to see you. It's just a great experience, and it kind of changes your perspective. Comment two, we've been struggling with, in our organization, lower membership, lower energy, and we've been talking about how can we turn this around. It's really heartening that one of their questions to these folks is going to be, do you want to know more about Indivisibles? Do you want to be signed up with an Indivisible organization? And just a quick mention for everybody here, our next meeting in person, May 5th, Sunday at Bishop Harrison, will be our pretty much annual self-assessment. How are we doing? What do we need to do more of kind of meeting? And this kind of stuff is going to come up. In some sense, it'll be a continuation of this meeting as well as some other things. So we'll try to get a bit more concrete about next steps before we quit today, but also we'll carry that on May 5th.
Perfect. Are there any other questions, or should we move on?
Run.
Okay, great. Sounds good. All right. So the next section is about the NY22 primary, because out of all the battleground districts, we're pretty much the only one that has a primary. NY19 doesn't, 17 doesn't, 18 and 3 don't. 4 kind of does, but there's nobody really serious other than Laura Gillen. So it'll go by pretty quick and she'll win it. But I want to make sure that you know about this, because your vote matters. And this information you'll be talking, so you can tell it in your sleep. We can all vote by mail this year, and voting by mail is safe. You do not need an excuse. Early voting is June 15th to the 23rd. This is Father's Day weekend. Many people are getting together. And so remind people, if you're going to any gatherings, that, hey, everybody really can go and vote early. You never know what's going to happen. A terrible rainstorm, a snowstorm, you know, the year, that could stop you from voting. And we definitely don't want to do that. And election day is Tuesday, June 25th. And just remember, New York has a closed primary system. So if you have an unaffiliated friend or a disenfranchised Republican who really likes one of the candidates, is like, oh, I wish I could vote for them. Like, it's only people of a party, so that they can choose their candidate of that party. Other states have open primaries where anybody can go and vote, but New York, it's closed. Only Dems can vote for Dems. Only Republicans can vote for Republicans. All right. And also there's this theory that with the Dems having a primary, that this could be a good opportunity to increase name recognition for the eventual Democrat, and have it get faster than the Republican incumbent, who is still widely unknown. A lot of people still don't even know who Brennan Williams is. You'd be like, if you ask them who he was or try to, put his name to a picture, they'd be like, who? I don't know. So we want to try to use the primary in order to help us get that name recognition up. Okay. All right. So I want to make sure that we can all say this together because it's super, super true. We are now going to be a 5-county congressional district, not just 3, but we all need to know this, nod our heads and say it out loud, that no matter who wins the election, we are going to work to send them to Congress. In your primary, you vote for your favorite. If your favorite doesn't win, all 3 candidates are going to be excellent voters, with Hakeem Jeffries and voting on Democratic bills in democratic ways. So in the end, they are not going to be voting for MAGA trash. They are all way better than Brennan Williams. We will not be having to live with the nightmare of having to fight MAGA and have a member of Congress who doesn't listen. Okay, so all of them are good choices, but in the primary, you vote for your favorite, and then we are getting behind as soon as possible the winner, because we have to catch up. Other districts already know who theirs are, but we have to wait. And we're one of the districts that's farthest away. So New York City is not coming to help us. Boston, not coming to help us. It's us. No one's coming to help us, everybody. We have to organize. And when we flip this district, we're going to know it was our determination and our organizing and our grit and our persistence that did it. Okay, because I live here too. I'm super invested in flipping NY22. There is no way I want all the other ones to flip and not ours. So we are going to do this, and I want everybody to be fired up and ready to do it as well. You're going to hear me talk about this with a lot of excitement in my voice because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I want you to imagine lots of people coming to one central location for a few hours, maybe 1 to 4 p.m., where they can take a lot of different actions no matter what comfort level they're at or their abilities. So we'd have postcards there over in one corner, some tables and chairs, maybe some vote forward letters. We have phone banking to call voters, and we also have it be a Canvas launch, okay, to go talk to them. There would be snacks, there would be water. We could have some more different fun elements. These events would be sponsored by Battleground New York Coalition. Can everybody mute? I'm having a hard time focusing with the background noise. Thank you. So Battleground New York Coalition, in case anybody doesn't know, is something new this year. It's people working together towards a common goal in New York. But it's Indivisible, Working Families Party, 1199 SEIU, the CWA Communication Workers Union, and Planned Parenthood. Those are all like the anchor partners. And then there's more kind of at this like second level, which I tend to like play in. So Bend the Arc, which is a Jewish organization, Empire State Voices, which is doing a lot of like accountability work with the the people who are unrepresentative of their district, like Brennan Williams. And so they are pulling money, they're like paying for paid canvassers, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff on the ground, but it's the local folks that would organize it, but they would give us money, and they would also to like cover snacks, venue costs, for example. And they'd also provide like the data. So they would figure out who we're calling with the phone bank scripts. They would be the ones setting up the 25-door turf packets to go out. So it's not going to be super heavy. You can go out with a partner, things like that. But we're having everybody come together for one afternoon so that we can blitz an area. Imagine if we had so many people, it was really high energy, very exciting, and we knocked on like 2,000 doors in the matter of 3 hours in an area that like was really going to make a difference in the election. Like it's that type of thing, and we want to do it once a month. So June through October, probably a Sunday afternoon. Anybody of the Jewish faith who tends to observe Saturday as their day of rest. A lot of people on Sunday tend to do a lot of things as well, but I think in the afternoon would probably be the best, so that everybody can have Sunday dinner plans and get ready for the work week. So in June, we're looking at June 2nd or the 9th. The rest of the Sundays just get wild in terms of availability because of Father's Day, GOTV weekend, and then kind of needing a rest from that. We're looking, then we would set a date for July, August, September, and October. When it looks at NY22, I'm asking Indivisible groups to set these up across all 6 battleground districts. So every month, I think Syracuse needs one, and every month Utica needs one to do these. Some months, maybe other towns in Onondaga County, so maybe there might be 2 of these. But you guys know that area best, whether it needs to, I don't know what towns you guys think like, oh, there's a lot of Democrats that stay home, let's go get them. You know, like a lot of voters, like we could set them up in those towns, you know, and maybe we do Auburn once or twice out of the 5 months, or maybe Portland once or twice as well. But there would always be one in Syracuse and one in Utica. So I think it could be very, very exciting. And I know Binghamton's planning one. We're going to try to get Ithaca to do one. Rensselaer County is going to do one. Kingston's going to do one. And then one in NY04, trying to get one going in NY17. So it's going to be very exciting. And this is where if people want to come help. So like New York City will go to the Long Island one. Massachusetts will come into NY19. They're going to come and join for Power Together Days. So if you guys ever remember, probably like in the beginning where like a lot of people showed up to your events and it was really exciting, we want to create that again. And this is going to be separate from the campaign. So we're not carrying their literature. We're not going to the doors that they want us to go to. It's all independent expenditure, and it's probably going to be a lot of voters that maybe they don't go after as well. So, but we'll work on the data from Battleground New York Coalition. So I wanted to plant this seed and make an ask if I can help support you in organizing the first Power Together Day in Syracuse. I think if we just did one, we want to be able to work out any kinks and make sure that people are having a good time, so that when they leave at 4 o'clock, they look at their buddy that they came with and be like, wow, that was really fun. I would go to another one. When's the next one? Like, that's what I really, really want people to feel coming out of this. So that's about Power Together Days. And I'm going to leave it there. We've covered a lot. So I want to say thank you so much. Because as you can tell, I'm really passionate about this. I am ready to just move, and bring a lot of people like with me and all together. And I know that I talk quite animated, and I know I talk about this in my head a lot. And so I want to make sure that if anything didn't come across, correctly, or you have questions, that I can give you answers. So are there any questions? And I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Yeah, I think there's nothing to stop us from like winning this district, and nothing to stop us from having fun along the way. So whether that's doing neighbor to neighbor on your own, starting in the beginning of June, or it's coming to a big unity rally and pulling this together. I mean, wouldn't that just scare, Brennan Williams and his, like, they can't pull something like that together. And our Power Together Day, if we go in, you guys, can help. Basically what we need is like a venue that can be available from 1 to 4 on either Sunday, June 2nd or June 9th. So if you guys can think of an area that Syracuse needs, some people to go and canvas, to go talk to a bunch of Dems, and has a good venue spot that can have parking and has table and chairs, we can make that work. Like, that's kind of the first steps for the Power Together Day. But I really, really want to see one in Utica as well as one in Syracuse every single month. And again, it's not going to cost your group anything. Battleground New York will be doing it, but we just help mobilize a lot of it. Like I see in the comments of like, oh, there's a lot of people, like we need a lot more excitement. If we build it, they will come. If we help say like, this is exciting, you have to get involved, come and join us, they will come. They will come. Okay, so I want you to know that I am here to be helpful. We got Indivisible resources. I can share kind of what's happening in other parts of the district or, different parts of the state. We got tools for you to do actions on your own. We got events to do things together. We have things to, get you outside of your comfort zone. One thing that we are not accepting is, but they will only do this, right? Like, but they will only do postcards. They will only do letters. Because I want you to think about what your life is right now and what your life's going to be like if Donald Trump gets a second presidency. What's your life going to be like then? We don't want that level of busy. We don't want that. So we can just get out of our comfort zone. Just try knocking on 10 neighbor doors, Dem doors. You don't have to talk to Republicans. Just talk to Democrats, and make sure that they are gonna vote. So like I said, we've got easy onboarding things for people that have, maybe never tried door knocking before. And we got ways that you can help get lots of people together. If that's what energizes you, to be like, wow, I'd love 50 people, 100 people to come to a Power Together Day and have it grow. And people want to come back, and they were making that activism bite-sized, local, and fun. Like we got a space for you too. So my thoughts with organizing, I always want to help you find your cup that you want to pour into. Because I'm not asking you to be a Sarah Jr. By no means am I asking you to do that, but I know what my gifts are, and my gift is I can help you organize. And I need Onondaga County to show up and fight like hell and take no prisoners when it comes. I want you guys to own your county so that we can flip it, so that Brennan Williams can be unemployed or go back to his truffle farm full time, where he can be super happy, just put him out to pasture, and he cannot do damage and take away our freedoms. He's doing damage. We have to stop it. People are dying. We need to save lives by getting the Democrats back in control and give them a trifecta. And we can do our part and have fun along the way. So I'm down. I hope you are too. And I just want to say thank you. So I'm going to cede the floor because I've taken up enough space for you guys.
Okay, so we will, within the next couple of days, get an email out to, it'll be something in Tuesday's newsletter, but also something to the discussion list, which you can respond to. That's why it's a discussion list. There's 80 people on it. We're going to add a few. And out of the people here, I got Chris, Judy, John, Elaine, Nancy have all expressed some interest. Malcolm says we've got to reach out to all the local indivisibles. Absolutely. So we'll get this discussion going about planning next steps for both of these big ideas that Sarah has laid upon us today.
I just want to say to Malcolm, we're already working with all the indivisibles for the candidate forum. So we are already, they're already kind of together with us on this. So we will toss out the invitation too.
Oh yeah,
Great.
and on that note as well, the candidate forum is May 17th at 6 to 9. And it will be at the Institute of Technology at Syracuse Center. So more details are coming, but that save the date. So
thank you so much. Really good to see this much energy, this many people here today. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sarah.